At 7:40, the Belandi breakfast table held 12 people and one rule: no one discussed the future before coffee. Matteo sat at the head, black suit immaculate, while Sofia Moretti held her napkin in her lap and watched steam curl from the silver pot. Renzo asked about tonight's dinner. The fresh coffee reached Sofia. Its bitter scent struck hard. She went white, covered her mouth, and stood, sliding an unopened clinic card into her sleeve before anyone could read it. She made it through the doorway before the first tremor reached her throat. She hurried to the powder room, locked the door, and bent over the basin. Nothing came up. Her body clenched and released, leaving her eyes wet and her hands shaking. She rinsed her mouth, pressed a cold towel beneath her jaw, and pulled the clinic card from her sleeve. Tomorrow, 10:15, a private clinic across the river. The card felt heavier than paper. Through the closed door, Matteo's voice cut across the corridor. Everyone out. He never raised his voice. He never needed to. The house shifted around a quiet command, shoes moved, a door opened, Renzo objected in a low burst, and one of the guards answered him. Sofia heard the breakfast room empty piece by piece. Matteo remained outside the powder room. Sofia. She folded the card and pushed it into the inside pocket of her dress. Give me a minute. Take 2. The answer landed differently from the questions she had expected. He cleared the house, then waited where she could hear him. Sofia opened the door after 3 minutes. Matteo stood 6 feet away, his hands at his sides. He was 40, tall and spare beneath a charcoal jacket, black hair combed back from a clean hairline, a short beard tracing his jaw. A small black and gray tattoo disappeared beneath his collar. His face was controlled, but his eyes had lost their morning calm. You cleared the room, she said. You asked for privacy without saying the words. I didn't ask. You ran from 12 witnesses. The fact of it pressed between them. Sofia looked toward the breakfast room. Empty chairs surrounded the long table. Renzo's coffee still steamed beside the untouched plate. I can leave, she said. Matteo's expression tightened. The house? The marriage. She had rehearsed the sentence in the train station, in the shower, and beside a suitcase she had not yet dared to close. Saying it here made the wall seem closer. Because you felt sick at breakfast? Because I am married to a man who thinks a doctor's sentence can decide what I am allowed to want. His gaze shifted to her sleeve. He had seen the corner of the card. What is that? A clinic appointment. For tomorrow? I said I can leave. He let the silence stand. 6 weeks earlier, after a night when both of them had said yes, he had touched her with a care that surprised them. The next morning he returned to the rules of the house. Since then they had occupied opposite wings and called the marriage a truce whenever either family asked. Matteo remembered the night because he had spent 6 weeks pretending it meant less than it did. He remembered the old envelope in his desk, the one he had locked away when a specialist told him natural conception was extremely unlikely. He had translated unlikely into never because never was easier to carry. Come to the small room, he said. So you can question me without your uncle listening? So you can choose whether to answer. She studied him. If I say no? I take you to your car and have the guard keep everyone away. He moved first, then stopped before the turn, leaving the path open. Matteo Belandi was used to closing doors with a look. This time he left one open for her. Sofia walked into the small sitting room. Matteo remained standing until she chose the chair nearest the light. Tell me what you think is happening, he said. She kept one hand over the hidden card. I think I might be pregnant. He absorbed the words without moving toward her. The old sentence in his head cracked along its center. You think, he said. I have had mornings like this for 4 days. Coffee, the smell of eggs, sometimes the elevator moving too fast. I made an appointment because I will not make a declaration at a breakfast table. You hid the card. I hid it from the people who would take it. From me? Her laugh held no humor. You told me, 3 months ago, that this marriage existed to keep 2 families from killing each other's business. You told me children were not part of the agreement. Then you told me you could never be a father. Which part was I meant to trust? Matteo took one breath. You were never meant to trust a sentence I used as a wall. That's not an answer. No. It is an admission. Sofia's fingers tightened over the card. If I am pregnant, Renzo will want a statement before I have seen a doctor. My father will want the child written into the truce. Someone will ask whether the baby is yours as if I have been sleeping in another man's bed. I will become evidence before I become a person. Matteo's jaw flexed. No one will question you in this house. You cannot promise what your family will do. I can promise what I will do. You can command people. I can command my people. She looked at him then, directly. And if your family says the port route matters more than I do? They will say it. What will you say? He crossed the room only far enough to set a glass of water on the table between them. I will ask you one question, and I will listen to the whole answer. Do you believe you are carrying my child? Sophia's throat moved. I believe there is a chance. I believe the timing makes sense. I believe I am afraid of what happens if I'm right. Do you believe you betrayed me? The question came out before he could stop it. Her face closed. There it is. Sophia. You asked me to tell you the truth, then placed me in the same chair as a suspect. Matteo turned away, walked to the window, and put both palms on the frame. The old version of him would have called for a test, a doctor, a guard outside her door. He could feel each reflex line up like men waiting for an order. He turned back. You are not a suspect. You asked. I asked because I was frightened. I am correcting the question. He lowered himself into the chair opposite hers, keeping the table between them. Are you asking me to believe you before there is a result? I am asking whether you can. Yes. Even if there is no child, even if there is, even if you leave. The answer was immediate enough to hurt. Sophia searched his face for the hidden condition and found none. She stopped hiding the card. Then you have a lot to prove, she said. I know. Outside, a car pulled away from the house. Matteo reached for his phone, then paused. May I call my counsel? Prepare the page that lets me leave the marriage's private terms, Sophia said. I am not promising to sign anything or stay. I understand. Matteo sent one message, put the phone face down, and stayed with her while the house settled around the absence of its witnesses. His counsel arrived with a thin folder. Matteo took a single page from it and sent him away. Sophia stood by the window with the clinic card in her hand. One page, he said. It removes the private obligations attached to the family arrangement. It does not dissolve a civil marriage or decide where you live, what work you keep, or what you do tomorrow. You make it sound simple. I am making the page simple. She held out her hand. Matteo gave it to her instead of placing it on the table. The paper had no crest, threat, or language about heirs. It said Sophia could depart the Bellandi residence, retain her property and earnings, and refuse any family demand connected to the alliance. Matteo waived his right to enforce the private terms. You signed the bottom, she said. Before I brought it. Why? So you would not mistake a promise for a request. The page trembled once in her hand. She set it down. You keep saying you can believe me. Belief is cheap when you have guards at every door. Then tell me what would make it expensive. Stop treating the old diagnosis like a verdict. Matteo's shoulders went hard. He crossed to a cabinet beside the fireplace and unlocked the lower drawer. He removed a cream envelope, the flap softened from years of being opened and closed. A faded hospital stamp marked one corner. He placed it beside the release page. This is the letter, he said. The words are not complicated. Sophia did not touch it. You want me to read it? I want to read it correctly for once. He opened the envelope and looked down. Natural conception is statistically unlikely. Further consultation may be appropriate if a couple wants children. That is all. And you heard? Never. Why? Because my father used the word legacy until it sounded like a threat. Because every man who wanted my loyalty asked what would happen to Bellandi if I had no son. Because if I could not have a child, I could pretend I had chosen not to want one. His confession had no polished edge. Sophia had expected anger, not the small exposed thing beneath it. You made your fear my sentence, she said. Yes. You made our marriage cold before I had a chance to decide whether I wanted warmth. Yes. She looked at the release page again. If the appointment says I am not pregnant, will you still let me go? The page is already signed. That wasn't what I asked. Yes. If it says I am? Yes. You keep giving the same answer. Because the answer is the part one should have given you 3 months ago. Sophia walked to the mantel and placed the clinic card beneath the old diagnosis letter. The two rectangles sat side by side, one full of a future that might exist, the other full of a past he had misunderstood. I don't want a family announcement, a room assigned to a child, or your uncle asking what my body owes the port. None of those things will happen today. Today is not enough. Then I will make tomorrow different. How? By keeping the appointment private if that is what you choose. By refusing a paternity demand. By telling Renzo the child is not a line item, whether the result is positive or negative. Sophia folded her arms. You sound like a man giving orders. I am a man who has spent a long time giving orders when he should have been telling the truth. The corner of her mouth shifted, almost a smile and not quite. That is the first sensible thing you've said. I can build from there. You cannot build me a reason to trust you in an hour or put one signature between us and 2 families. No. You cannot tell me you love me because you saw a clinic card. His eyes held hers. I am not telling you that. Good. I am telling you I want the chance to earn the word. The room seemed to exhale. Sophia sat again, this time without choosing the chair nearest the door. The appointment is tomorrow, she said. I may keep it. I may cancel it. I may go alone. You may. If you ask, I will drive. You drive? When I need to know where I am going. That sounds like a threat. It is a promise to get lost with you. The first laugh escaped before she could stop it, then vanished. Sophia picked up the release page. I will take this upstairs. You can take it to your studio. You know where my studio is? I know the address on the lease attached to your household file. She stared at him. That sounds like surveillance. It is a file I should have destroyed. Will you? Today. In front of me. If you want. She slid the paper into her portfolio case. I want to leave this house for the afternoon. Then leave. You are coming. If you are asking. I am not asking you to protect me. I know. I am asking you to see what you married. Mateo's expression changed by a fraction. All right. He returned the old diagnosis letter to its envelope but left the drawer unlocked. Keep it open, she said. I will remember why. They left the sitting room together. At the end of the corridor, the guard straightened. Mateo pointed toward the front entrance. No escort inside the car, he said. No one follows unless Sophia asks. The guard looked at Sophia for confirmation. She gave one short nod. Mateo saw it and accepted the fact that the nod belonged to her, not to him. The house doors opened. Morning air entered, sharp with rain and stone. Mateo drove himself. The black sedan waited at the curb with a second vehicle behind it, but he sent that one back to the garage. Sophia slid into the passenger seat with her portfolio case on her knees. She kept the release page inside the case and the clinic card in her pocket. Your security team will hate this, she said. They hate surprises. I am a surprise? You decided to leave before telling anyone. That makes you efficient, not a problem. Rain striped the windshield. Sophia had ridden in this car 3 times since the wedding, always in the back with a guard in front. The empty space beside him felt more intimate than the night they had shared. Turn left at the river, she said. I know how to follow a map. You had someone memorize it. I had someone tell me where you worked. I never sent anyone there. The distinction should matter to you. She looked out at the river. You are trying very hard to become a man I can tolerate. I am trying to become a man you can choose. The sentence settled between the gearshift and her hand. Sophia kept her fingers closed. Her apartment occupied the upper floor of a narrow building above a closed bookshop. She had rented it before the marriage and kept paying from her own account. The Moretti family had called the place temporary. Sophia called it an exit. Mateo parked across the street. He started to reach for the door, then stopped. May I come upstairs? She studied the building. You have already seen my address? That is not permission. Sophia opened her door. Then asked properly. May I come upstairs and see the life you prepared in case this one failed? Her eyes held his. Yes. The apartment smelled of cedar and paper. 2 drafting tables filled the front room. A suitcase stood open beside the bedroom door, another waited zipped beneath the table. Mateo stopped just inside. He had expected a room arranged for a wife. He found a room arranged for a person who had always intended to remain herself. Sophia set down her portfolio. The big case has my project files. The smaller one has clothes. I can take both on a train. Where would you go? A colleague in Florence offered me a 6-month sublet. I planned a place where no one knows the Belandi family can make a phone call and call it concern. Florence is not outside the reach of my name. It is outside the reach of your household. I could make it safe. That is the sentence that makes me want to leave. He took the blow without answering. Sophia opened the smaller suitcase and checked the documents inside. Passport. Bank cards. Work permit. A folder of licenses. A pair of flat shoes. She had built the contents with the same precision she used to restore a damaged facade, remove what could collapse, preserve what carried weight. You thought I would stop you, Mateo said. I thought you would ask me to wait until the family decided what my body meant. I will never ask that. You asked me to marry you because your uncle said the port route would close. I believed the marriage would prevent a war. I called it duty because I was afraid to call it want. The words arrived without preparation. Sophia closed the suitcase. Mateo looked at the drafting tables and the small plaster model of an old warehouse. For you to stay long enough for me to learn what you do when no one is watching. Her expression softened and hardened at once. You had 3 months. I spent 2 of them pretending the walls between us were honorable. And the third? I spent it remembering your hands on my shirt and deciding I had no right to want a second night. Sophia looked down. The apartment grew quiet except for rain against the windows. The night was a choice, she said. The marriage was an arrangement. I know. You cannot use the night to make the arrangement feel romantic. I am not. Then what are you doing? Giving you the chance to leave both. He removed the release page from her portfolio case and set it on the drafting table. The signature at the bottom was dark and unmistakable. This is yours, he said. Take it to counsel, take it to your father, take it to a judge if you need to. It releases the private terms that made the marriage a family instrument. I am not asking for a receipt. Sophia read the page again. You signed before you knew whether I was pregnant. I signed because I knew you were afraid. That is not the same as love. No. It is the first thing I can do that would let love have a chance. She lifted the page, folded it once, and placed it inside the passport folder. I am taking the afternoon at my studio. I will drive you. You will wait outside. If that is what you want. You won't call anyone to check where I am? I won't. You won't send a guard in because the building has a broken lock. I will ask whether you want the lock repaired. I will not decide for you. She reached for the portfolio case. You are learning the difference. Slowly. You are still dangerous. To people who threaten what is mine. Sophia paused at the door. I am not yours. Matteo lowered his eyes to the release page. That is what I am trying to earn the right to say differently. They returned to the car. On the way to the studio, Sophia gave directions without looking at the map. Matteo followed them exactly, turning when she told him and waiting when she changed her mind. He did not ask whether the clinic card remained in her pocket. He had learned that a private thing could stay private while trust was being built. At the studio, he stopped at the curb. How long? He asked. 2 hours. I will be here. You can leave. I can. Why won't you? Because you asked me to see what you married. Sophia opened the door. Then looked from the sidewalk. Matteo watched her cross the wet pavement with her portfolio under one arm and the release page in her bag. She entered the old warehouse and turned on the lights. He stayed in the car until she looked up and saw him there. The studio occupied the second floor of a former textile warehouse near the South River. Its brick walls had been scrubbed but never polished, and the windows were high enough to make the rain look distant. Sophia had spent 4 years turning the space into a place where damaged buildings could be measured without being reduced to numbers. Her assistant, Mina, met her with a clipboard. Sophia sent her for the drainage notes and north wall photographs, then dismissed her. Mina glanced toward the window. Are you safe? I am working. Mina accepted the answer and left. Sophia went to the front window. Matteo stood beside the sedan in the rain. He had removed his jacket and rolled his sleeves once. The tattoo on his forearm appeared like a dark line of smoke. He looked up when she opened the window. You can come in, she called. You asked me to wait outside. I am changing the instruction. He crossed the street without hurrying. At the bottom of the stairs he stopped again. Up? Up. He climbed into the studio and paused in the middle of the room. Sophia knew what he saw: long tables covered in stone samples, a plaster arch with its damaged edge marked in red pencil, shelves of ledgers, and a half-built scale model of an abandoned river warehouse. The model had no roof, and its interior was divided into small rooms by thin wooden walls. You built this? He asked. I measured the original structure. The model is for the client who cannot imagine what a building can become after it stops being useful. The client owns the warehouse? Belandi Assets own the deed. A restoration grant could cover part of the work if the route reopened. You knew. I surveyed it before the wedding. Your people said it was too expensive to save. My people say that about anything they cannot move in a night. Your people are not architects. Neither am I. His mouth nearly curved. Sophia returned to the table. The south route is not a fantasy, she said. It is slower and needs work. The old drainage channel can be repaired. The loading floor can carry the weight if the supports are reinforced. That is as far as I am willing to go without a full site visit. You are willing to help my family keep moving after I break the agreement. I am willing to keep a good building from being wasted. The agreement is not part of the calculation. Matteo removed his watch and set it beside the model. Where do you want the heavy box? He bent before she could object and lifted a wooden crate of stone samples. The muscles in his forearm tightened. He carried it toward the empty wall. Beside the window. He placed the crate where she pointed. Sophia looked at the distance from the table and shook her head. 3 inches back. Matteo moved it 3 inches back. You could have said that before I lifted it. You could have asked before deciding. He looked down at the crate. That is fair. It is also useful. I am beginning to see the difference. Sophia took a pencil from behind her ear and marked a line on the floor. He watched her work with the patient attention he gave to maps and men who might betray him. The attention made her uneasy, then curious. What did you want before you became a boss? She asked. A room with no one waiting on the other side of the door. You have one now. It is at the center of a house full of people who listen through walls. You could leave. So could you. I am considering it. Sophia picked up the old warehouse photographs. The appointment is tomorrow at 10:15. You are keeping it? I haven't decided. You don't have to tell me. I am telling you because you promised not to turn it into a family event. I will keep that promise. You cannot promise a result. I can promise the result will not determine whether you can leave. She put the photographs down. If tomorrow says there is no pregnancy, will you still remove the private terms? Yes. The page is signed. And if there is? Yes. Sophia stepped closer to the model. You want me to believe you want me, not the child. I want you to believe what I do. What are you doing now? Standing in a room where you are the authority and waiting for the next instruction. She gave him a long look, then pointed to the model's open roof. Hold this wall while I fit the beam. Mateo crouched beside the model. His hand steadied the thin wooden section while Sophia placed a narrow strip across it. Their shoulders touched once. He lifted his hand immediately, leaving the decision to her. You can keep holding it, she said. You said you wanted the next instruction. That was it. He held the wall. She fitted the beam. The work was small, precise, and strangely intimate. When the piece settled, Sophia looked at the structure and felt the first quiet relief of the day. There, she said. Now it carries weight. Mateo's eyes remained on her. That is what you do. You find the part everyone stopped looking at and give it away to carry weight. That sounds like a compliment. It is an observation. You are still dangerous. I am trying to be accurate. She moved to the sink and rinsed the pencil dust from her fingers. The smell of rain came through the open window. Mateo reached to close it, then stopped. May I? Yes. He shut the window. Sophia caught herself watching the care of the movement. He could have ordered someone else to do it. He had asked her instead. I will finish the South Route notes, she said. Then I want lunch somewhere your family does not own. I know a place. If it is a place where everyone knows your face, I will leave. It is behind a laundromat and serves soup. That sounds suspiciously ordinary. I have been saving it. For whom? For the woman who would notice if I chose the wrong table. Sophia looked at the model between them. You may take me there after I finish. Mateo nodded. He put his watch back on, but he left his jacket over the back of her chair. She noticed. He did not mention it. The restaurant was half a block behind the laundromat, a narrow room with 6 tables and a bell above the door. A woman in a red sweater looked up from the counter, recognized Mateo, and went back to polishing a glass. There were no guards, no family portraits, no dark cars idling at the curb. You come here alone? Sophia asked. Sometimes. How often is sometimes? Often enough that she knows I will order the same thing. The woman called from the counter. Your soup is ready, Mateo. Sophia chose the table nearest the kitchen and hung her coat over the chair. He sat opposite her instead of beside her. The waitress brought plain broth, warm bread, and a bowl of roasted vegetables for him. Sophia looked at the steam and waited for her stomach to decide what it thought. The broth is safe, Mateo said. You asked someone. I asked the waitress what had the least smell. You remembered. I am capable of remembering what matters. The words were almost light. She tasted the broth. Her body allowed it. Mateo's shoulders eased. He reached for his bread, then stopped. You can eat, she said. I am waiting. For what? For you to tell me whether I should keep talking. Sophia set down the spoon. You keep asking for permission. You keep changing the rules. The old rules were written without me. Then I am learning yours. My rule is that you cannot turn every quiet moment into a promise. I can try to sit here and eat soup. That would be a start. He took a piece of bread. She watched him bite into it, chew, and swallow. The ordinary motion made him look younger than 40. Without the black jacket, the tattoos, and the men waiting outside, he might have been a man who had missed breakfast. Why did you marry me? She asked. Because Renzo said the Moretti family would close the East warehouses if we refused. Because my father had spent years turning a dispute into a debt. Because the marriage would keep men from deciding the truce had failed. Those are reasons for duty. They are. I asked why you married me. Matteo looked at his bowl. The first time I saw you, you were arguing with a contractor in the old Bellandi library. He called a damaged wall impossible. You called his estimate lazy. He was lazy. You were right. I watched from the doorway because you were winning. You noticed a wall. I noticed you refused to throw away something because it was difficult. It gave me a reason to hope the stranger might become someone I knew. The spoon stopped halfway to her mouth. Matteo kept eating as if he had said nothing extraordinary. You did not act like a man who hoped, she said. I acted like a man who believed hope was dangerous. You acted like a man who had already decided I could never matter. I decided you could not matter enough to make the danger worth it. And now? Now the danger is the part one understand. The waitress brought more bread. She set it near Sophia without asking and walked away. Sophia broke a piece, dipped it into the broth, and ate. My mother called the marriage a bridge, she said. Then every week someone asked what the Bellandi house needed from me, a signature, a dinner, a room for a child that did not exist. Renzo had the room prepared. You allowed it. I allowed too many things because I was trying to keep you out of a fight. Keeping me out made me part of it. I know. Sophia looked through the front window at the wet street. If I am pregnant, I want a room I chose. If I am not, I still want a room I chose. I want a calendar that belongs to my work and the right to get sick in private. You can have those things. You say that as if the house belongs to you. The house does. That is the problem. You cannot purchase the feeling of being free. I know. Then tell me what you want me to do. Matteo leaned back. Tell me what you want me to do. I want you to sit there and understand that I am afraid. I am sitting. And I understand. You do not know what it feels like to be watched for signs of usefulness. I know what it feels like to be watched for signs of weakness. That is not the same. No. I won't make it the same. The answer had no argument inside it. Sophia lifted her eyes. Matteo had stopped trying to win the conversation. He simply sat with the weight she had put down. When the specialist gave you that letter, she said, did you want children? I wanted a family that did not use a child as a receipt for loyalty. And what did you want for yourself? He looked at the table, the chipped blue rim of the bowl, the bread between them. A morning that started with someone complaining about my coffee and ended with someone still there. Sophia's chest tightened. You have that now. You are considering leaving. Because you gave me reason. Then I have to give you a different reason. You cannot build one at lunch. I can start. The room filled with the clink of dishes. Sophia placed her hand on the table, palm down, not quite reaching for him. Matteo noticed. He kept his hands in his lap. What are you waiting for? She asked. For you to tell me whether I may touch you. You used to touch me without asking. That night, you asked me first. She remembered the way she had caught his tie and pulled him close. The memory warmed her face. You remember that? Every minute I am allowed to remember. That is a dangerous answer. It is an honest one. Sophia turned her hand over. You may hold it. Matteo reached across the table. He took her fingers gently, giving her time to withdraw. His palm was warm, his grip light enough that she could break it with a small movement. She stayed. For a while they ate with their hands joined between the bowls. The contact did not solve the marriage. It gave the fear a place to rest. If there is no child, she said, I will still need time. I will give you time. If there is a child, I will need more than time. You will have more than time. I will need you to tell your family that I am not a vessel. I will. In front of them. In front of both families. And if the price is the port? His thumb moved once across her knuckle. Then we pay it. She searched his face for the easy answer, the one a powerful man gave because he expected a way around every cost. She found no shortcut there. You are making promises, she said. I am naming the price. That is worse. It is more useful. Sophia almost smiled. You are learning my language. I have an excellent teacher. She let her fingers remain in his. The waitress passed their table and saw the joined hands. She offered no comment. Outside, the rain thinned to silver. When they rose, Matteo held Sophia's coat open and waited for her nod. His hands left her immediately. She caught his sleeve before he could step away. Tomorrow, I may go alone. You may. Tonight, I will go to the family dinner. I want to see who believes they can decide what I am. Then I will stand beside you. Beside me, she repeated. Not in front. Beside you. She released his sleeve. Good. They stepped into the street with their shoulders nearly touching. Neither called it a date. The choice to walk back to the car together felt more binding than a word. By 4 o'clock the rain had stopped, leaving the South River dark and shining beneath the warehouse windows. Sophia was fitting a row of measurements into the old route file when the front door opened without a knock. Renzo Belandi walked in carrying a leather folder, silver-haired and elegant in the way of men who believed age was a license to enter any room. A driver waited on the stairs. Renzo saw Matteo's jacket over Sophia's chair. "Your husband has been busy," he said. "My husband is not the person you came to see. That is why I came to you." Renzo placed the folder on the drafting table, directly over the South Warehouse drawings. Sophia moved the drawings aside before the leather could mark them. "If you wanted a meeting, you should have asked." Breakfast was not an invitation. His gaze went to her face, her hand, and then her waist. Sophia felt the direction of it like a hand she had to brush away. "You should sit," Renzo said. "You should leave." The driver shifted on the stairs. Renzo opened the folder and removed a single sheet. "This is a practical accommodation," he said. "If your appointment confirms a child, the families need a clear arrangement. Notification, security, residence, education, succession. It is 1 page. You brought a succession page to my workplace before I have seen a doctor. The timing is precisely why it must be ready. The timing is why it is obscene." Renzo's mouth narrowed. "You are speaking emotionally. You are placing a contract over a building model. The model will not hold the alliance together. Neither will a child if you keep treating the mother like a locked chest." He tapped the page. "The Moretti family has invested in the East Route because this marriage secured it. If you are carrying the next Belandi, your cooperation protects everyone. My body is not a warehouse. No one said it was. You wrote a storage schedule for a person who may not exist." Renzo leaned closer. "You can refuse to sign. That is your right. Matteo can also refuse to support the arrangement. The East priority will then be withdrawn. 3 years of guaranteed access, gone. Crews reassigned. Prices raised. Your family will call it his choice." Sophia looked at the page. The threat was not loud. It was a number shaped like a door closing. "You want me to save your route by promising that any child belongs to the family before it belongs to the people who made it. I want continuity. You want control. Control is how people avoid chaos. No. Control is how men avoid listening." The studio door opened again. Matteo stood on the landing, his black coat dark against the pale stairwell. He had come alone. His eyes went to Renzo, then to the page on the table, then to Sophia. "Did he touch you?" he asked. "No." "Did he threaten you?" "He threatened the route." Matteo climbed the last steps. "That is not the same as threatening my wife." Renzo turned. "You are already calling her wife in public?" "I am calling her the person who decides what happens to her body. The family needs to leave my wife's studio." The driver took 1 step forward. Matteo looked at him. The driver stopped. Renzo laughed softly. "You believe a command solves the old problem? It solves the room. The port is a price. You will throw away 3 years because she has a stomachache?" Sophia lifted the succession page and folded it in half. "You will not make my body smaller by calling it a stomachache." Renzo's eyes sharpened. "If you are pregnant, the family will know. The family will know when I choose to tell them. You do not understand what you are risking." "I understand exactly. You are trying to make me carry the cost of a route so Matteo will feel too guilty to let me go." For the first time, Renzo looked at Matteo as if he had found a weakness to exploit. "She is leaving you?" Matteo took the page from Sophia's hand only after she extended it. He read the first line, folded it again, and placed it back on the table. "She is free to leave me. That is not how the agreement works. It is how the agreement works now." Renzo's face hardened. "You have signed the release." "I have. Before the result. Because the result has no bearing on her freedom. You would sacrifice the East route for a woman who may not even stay?" Matteo stepped beside Sophia, not between her and Renzo. "I will sacrifice the route because you decided the route gave you a claim on her." The sentence changed the air. Sophia felt the impact of it in her chest, not because he had called her his wife, but because he had named the insult without asking her to endure it quietly. Renzo gathered the folder. "The council meets tonight." "It is a family dinner," Matteo said. "It will be a council if I say it is. Call a chair anything you want after you leave." Renzo looked toward Sophia. "If you attend, you will be asked in front of both families whether you intend to continue this marriage. Then ask me in front of both families." Matteo turned his head toward her. She met his eyes. "You don't have to go," he said. "I know. You can leave now." "I know. Then decide because you want to be there, not because he put you on display." Sophia looked at the folded succession page. "I will go because he has been speaking about me while I was not in the room. Tonight I will be in it." Renzo gave a small bow. Bring your answer. I will bring my own. He left with the driver. The studio returned to its ordinary sounds. Matteo set a rolling pencil back beside Sophia's ruler. Are you all right? I am angry. Good. Anger keeps your feet under you. You are not allowed to praise it. Then I will respect it. Sophia picked up her bag. We have a dinner to survive. We have a choice to make. You already made yours. I made a promise in a room with 2 people. Tonight I make it where they can hear. She held his gaze. The fear remained, but it had changed shape. It no longer belonged to a hidden card. It belonged to a door they would open together. The dinner was scheduled for 8, but Matteo left the studio at 6:30. He changed nothing about the car or the route. Sophia sat beside him with her work bag between her feet and the folded succession page in the outer pocket. The old warehouse summary rested on top, its edges marked with blue tabs. You can go to your apartment, Matteo said. I can cancel the dinner. They will call it a retreat. I wanted the right to decide when privacy ended. Tonight it ends because you choose it. Tonight it ends because Renzo has spent 3 months speaking for me. I will answer my own question. The sedan passed under the stone arch leading to the private dining hall. Matteo's guards waited at the gate. He rolled down the window. No one enters the hall without my word, and no one removes Sophia from it, he said. If Renzo wants to leave, open the door. The guard accepted the order. Matteo drove on. You make ordinary instructions sound like a threat, Sophia said. It keeps people attentive. Then listen. I will say I am free to leave, refuse the succession page, and keep the appointment private. You will not answer for me or move me. Understood. If I stop talking, you will not fill the silence. That may be the hardest instruction. Practice. She opened the work bag and removed the South Route summary. It was only 8 pages, photographs, a structural sketch, a short estimate, and a note about the drainage channel. The pages were smudged from years of use. This is not a rescue plan, she said. It is an option. The old warehouse can handle legitimate storage after repairs, but the road is longer and the first shipments will cost more. How much more? Enough that no one gets to pretend you made a clean escape. It will be my budget. Your family will blame me. They will blame the person who signed the loss. That will be you. Yes. Sophia closed the folder. I am not giving you this so you can make me responsible for saving the route. I know. I am giving it because I refuse to let Renzo say the only alternative is to own me. That is the difference between help and surrender. She turned toward him. You are learning faster when you are afraid. I have always been good at fear. You hide it well. You notice it anyway. The car entered the courtyard. The dining hall sat inside an old customs house, its windows lit against the dark water. Moretti cars lined one side. Bellandi cars lined the other. No one had come for a family dinner without bringing a ledger of old debts. Matteo parked near the steps. He got out and came around to her side. He opened the door, then stepped back. Sophia looked at the space between them. You can walk beside me. I am waiting for you to choose the pace. Inside, you will have to speak. I will. After me. After you. They climbed the steps together. At the entrance, Renzo waited beneath the awning with Sophia's father. Her father's expression held worry dressed as irritation. You should have told us, her father said to his daughter. I am telling you now. The families have a right. Matteo moved half a step, then stopped before he blocked her. Sophia saw the movement and touched his sleeve. I will answer. He fell silent. The families have a right to know whether the alliance continues, her father finished. The alliance is not my body, Sophia said. If you want to know whether I am staying with Matteo, ask me after he says what he is willing to lose. Her father's mouth tightened. Renzo looked pleased, as if she had walked into a trap of her own making. You have been influenced, Renzo said. I have been listening. This is not a place for personal emotion. You brought a succession contract to my workplace. I brought continuity. You brought a page that tried to decide my future before I knew my present. Renzo turned to Matteo. Is this the wife you intend to defend against the families that feed your people? Matteo's face remained calm. She is the woman who will speak before I do. For a moment, no one moved. Sophia felt his choice settle beside her, solid and quiet. They entered the hall. A long table had been set beneath chandeliers. Bellandi representatives occupied one side, Moretti representatives the other. No one carried a weapon into the room. The danger lived in the contracts placed beside the plates. Matteo pulled out a chair for Sophia, then took the seat beside her rather than at the head. Renzo sat opposite. Her father sat at the far end. You should sit at the head, her father told Matteo. Tonight I am sitting beside my wife. Sophia felt the word land differently than it had in the studio. This time it did not close around her. It opened a space he was willing to share. Renzo lifted his glass. Then let her speak. Matteo looked at Sophia once. She placed the South Route summary on the table, beside the unsigned succession page. I will, she said. Sophia stood. The chair legs made a brief scrape against the floor. I will not sign this page, she said. I will not give either family a schedule for my body, a claim on a child, or a reason to keep me in a marriage I did not choose freely. If the appointment is positive, I will decide when the news is shared. If it is negative, the rule is the same. Renzo set down his glass. Then Matteo must choose. You or the East Route. Sophia looked at Matteo. He has already chosen what he believes he can afford. Matteo rose beside her. He took the unsigned succession page, tore it once down the center, and laid both halves in front of Renzo. Then he drew a second sheet from the inside pocket of his jacket. It carried the Bellandi seal and a single line surrendering the family's 3-year priority at the East Port. This takes effect at midnight, he said. The South Route begins tomorrow. The cost belongs to Bellandi. Renzo stared at the seal. You will lose money, crews, and standing. Yes. Matteo signed. At the far end of the table, his operations chief opened a phone and sent one message. A route had changed before anyone could turn the decision into a debate. Sophia placed her blue-tabbed summary beside the signed waiver. The South Warehouse can carry legitimate storage after repairs. The drainage work will take months. The loss is real, and this is not a miracle. You are helping him, her father asked. I am refusing to let a building be used as an excuse to own me. Matteo turned to the table. The appointment has not confirmed a child. I believe Sophia because she told me the truth while she was afraid. I have released every private term that made her a family instrument. She may leave this room, this house, or this marriage, and no Bellandi will claim that decision. Renzo's face had gone pale with anger. And if she stays? Matteo looked only at Sophia. Then she stays because she wants me. He removed his wedding ring and set it beside the signed waiver. I will not use this ring, a child, or a port route to make her remain. I love her. That is my choice, and the loss is mine. The room held its breath, but no one spoke for Sophia. She kept her hand on the blue tabs, feeling the paper beneath her palm and the open door behind her. Matteo sat. He did not reach for her. Sophia took the ring from the table and closed her fingers around it. Then we are finished here. She walked out first. Matteo followed only after she looked back. By midnight, Bellandi trucks were being redirected from the East Port. The route took longer, the invoices rose, and Matteo let the first loss appear on his own ledger. Sophia's warehouse assessment became a normal paid project, with her name on the contract and her authority over the work. Renzo's page remained torn in a drawer no one could use. On the Customs House terrace, the river carried the city's lights toward the dark. Matteo placed the signed release and his ring in Sophia's hands. Take both, he said. Or leave both. Tomorrow's appointment belongs to you. She held the ring between two fingers. If the result is negative, I will still love you. If it is positive, I will still love you. If I go to Florence, I will let you go. She studied him until the promise stopped sounding like performance. Then she placed the ring back in his palm. Ask me again, she said. Without the families. Without the port. Without a child who may or may not exist. Matteo set the release on the stone ledge and lowered himself to one knee. No guard watched. No elder stood behind him. He offered the ring as if it were a question, not a lock. Sophia Moretti, will you choose a life with me because you want me, not because anyone arranged it? She touched his cheek. Yes. I choose you. Her kiss was deliberate and brief at first, then warm enough to make him close his eyes. When she drew back, she was smiling through the last of her fear. The appointment the next morning confirmed an early, healthy pregnancy. The doctor, the numbers, and the paperwork stayed outside their story. By the time winter gave way to spring, Sophia still ran her restoration studio, and the South Warehouse had new supports beneath its old roof. On an ordinary morning, sunlight entered the small room facing east. Sophia stood on a stool with a brass measuring ruler rescued from the warehouse. She pointed at the wall. 2 inches lower. Matteo held the shelf and moved it. Your other left. There are 2 lefts. The one I mean. He adjusted the shelf until she nodded. A crib waited beneath it, still empty. On the floor lay a stack of name cards they had crossed out, rearranged, and argued over for 3 mornings. The coffee stayed on the far counter. Matteo brought Sophia toast and fruit, then waited while she chose what she could eat. She kept one hand on the ruler and the other on the list. You removed my favorite name, he said. Your favorite name belongs to a man who cannot measure a shelf. I can measure a shelf. You can follow instructions. That is a higher skill. She laughed, and he leaned against the wall he had helped her restore. The house was still Belandi property, the city still knew his name, and the route still cost more than it once had. Inside this room, Sophia's work remained hers, the future belonged to both of them, and every choice that mattered had been made with the door open.